Cynthia is a national award-winning author, mixed media artist, April Fool's prankster, as we all know, and a creative entrepreneur known as a communication architect. An AE or an E4E partner since 2013, she looks naturally to the future, confronting traditional ideas by embracing change and seeing new possibilities. Today, Cynthia will dive into the age-old question. When it comes to marketing, what's play got to do with it? Without further ado, welcome, Cynthia.
So, marketing, what's play got to do with it anyway? That sounds crazy, doesn't it? We all know that marketing is all about connection, isn't it? As we've talked earlier in the previous presentations, marketing is about connection, it's about raising your hand. It's also a lot about strategy. And I totally respect that. What I'm going to introduce today is the ripple effect. What I've noticed in marketing my book is that there's something organic that happens that is a ripple effect. And I think this is something that can coincide with the rest of the marketing. I'm inviting you to be more aware of the ripple effect in your marketing. What I'm going to do is share with you my experience, not to brag, to inspire you to be looking for opportunities out there. So as I mentioned, I've published a book a few years ago, and I've been doing my own marketing. And as we all know, marketing is about connection, isn't it?
Yeah.
And so how do we get people to connect with us? What I'm seeing is that we inspire them as leaders. We become leaders of our tribe, right? Our followers. And to inspire them, we become visionaries. This is how I'm seeing it. Can you imagine yourself as being somewhat of a visionary for your followers, for your clients? Because you're helping them with opportunities. You're seeing possibility, right? So how do we see possibility? How do we become more of those visionaries? I believe it's by activating our imagination. If our imagination is on fire, then we're seeing possibilities, right? But how do we activate our imagination? It's through play.
Yes.
So when we play, when we lose track of time, when we do things that are fun and uplifting, it activates our imagination. Our imagination helps us to see greater possibility in the world, and that helps us to connect. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about my personal story. And I know some of you think I'm an expert when it comes to play. I'm going to share with you some pictures. These are real pictures from my childhood. I was a girl in the 50s. So my toys were an ironing board and an iron and a vacuum cleaner. And notice I'm carrying a handbag while I'm vacuuming. Thank you, thank you. So it actually was only a few years ago that I really started to play. I turned my dining room into an art studio. I decided to see what I could make of myself as an artist. I had done creative work for my clients, but that's not the same as following my own creativity. So I experimented with watercolors. I started doing an art journal where every day I would do a new page, something creative, and I would share it on social media, and I would get a wonderful reaction that people were feeling uplifted by my whimsical images. So I finished my first art journal, and it was all about circles. It's good to have a theme. And the second art journal, I wanted to do a different shape, and I came across the ampersand, which is the symbol for and. And I love the shape of the ampersand. And also, I love the meaning of the ampersand, which, wait for it, is connection and possibility. So here are a couple of examples of my art journal. The ampersand upside down is a chandelier, and I always like to have taglines to go with my images. I think that's part of my communication architect at play. So Let There Be Light was the chandelier, and the feathery ampersand is the owl, and it says ampersand who. So actually within a few months, I started to see the possibility of turning my art journal into a book and publishing it. And from the start of my art journal to the publishing of my book was 8 months, which is pretty unheard of. The next thing I knew, I won a national award. I went to Barnes and Noble because my book was published through Ingram, which means it's available with any bookseller. So it was on the shelf at Barnes and Noble with my heroes, Dale Carnegie, Julia Cameron, John Cleese, in the personal development section because it's a book about imagination. I had a book signing at Christopher's gift shop, my first one, because I looked at the website and they talked about selling gifts that brought people smiles. And so I emailed them, I have something that will bring, my book will bring smiles. And they emailed right back. And the next thing I knew, I had a book signing. I made an announcement about my book, and in the audience were two people that were just about to open a brand new bookstore, Belleville Books, in Belleville, of course. And they invited me to have a book signing for their opening week. I got a call out of the blue, a voicemail from somebody I didn't know and a number I didn't know. So now I check all of those because she said, I'm the owner of Ampersand Inn, a 5-star resort in New Jersey. I was just gifted your book. You're a kindred spirit. I'd like you to come and stay for free, and I'd like to fly you out to speak to my guests about your passion and purpose. So we're in the midst of scheduling that. They now have my book in every room. I took someone to an interview because she had just had hip surgery, and now I have an interview lined up next month at KXOX. I've also gifted my book many times, and the results have been now my book is in an art gallery as well as the bookstores, Green Door and Webster Groves. It also ended up in Sri Lanka, where it's being used to teach monks English as a second language. And one of the reasons why they like it is because of the cultural references. It's also in the library at the Angad Arts Hotel downtown. This is a room that guests use to relax and peruse the books. And so who knows who will pick up my book. I did do a book signing finally at Barnes and Noble. It only took them a year to write back to me on email. And I decided for that event, I would like it to be interactive. How can I connect better? So I created an art exercise. And this is the art exercise. I think some of you in this room have participated. Ladies, have you done yours yet? Oh, look at that. Beautiful, beautiful. Anyway, I have lots of copies of this if anyone would like to pick one up on your way out. What happened was at that book signing, one of the people that experienced that worked at an elementary school. She ended up taking it to them, and now they're using it for the STEM program. And I was invited to give a talk to the elementary school, and that was such a kick. One of the most exciting things has been learning that there's a World Ampersand Day, September 8th. And Karen Fox, thank you so much, because 3 years ago, she told me about it. I had no idea. And so, of course, immediately I had a party, because I think you told me about it in August, July or August. And so I immediately had a party, September 8th. It was a small party. And to me, that's play, because I love to entertain. And I created some games, and I found out there's an ampersand cocktail that was invented at the Waldorf Astoria in New York. And so it was great fun. So then the next party I had, it was a little bit bigger, and I started thinking about what could I do at this party other than just celebrate? What if it could be more meaningful? And I realized that wouldn't it be wonderful if it was some sort of a fundraiser? What could it be a fundraiser for? And I love the world of art, and I believe art can change the world. And so I started with the idea of a fundraiser for scholarships for art students. And so at this party, there were about a dozen guests. I challenged them. I said, if anyone uses the word but when they could have used the word and, you pay a fine, and here's the jar. Well, the next thing I know, my friend Eric is saying, but. And I looked at him, he pulled out a $50 bill and he put it in the jar. And overnight, I raised $500. And a few months later, I awarded the scholarship to Danny Bess, who's an amazing art student at the community college. And I also look for the ampersand in the award winner. His ampersand was that he also studied music, and he hears the rhythm of music when he paints. It influences his painting. And he's just an amazing guy. So last year, I had a bigger party at Cyrano's. There were about 45 people. We had lots of games, photo ops, raffle prizes, silent auction, lots of activities, the ampersand cocktail, the ampersand mocktail, and it was a crowd fund. I set a goal of raising $2,000. I raised $2,400. And my scholarships the other goal I had was I wanted to include high school students, not just college students. And I partnered with STL Artworks, which is in the Loop, and it has at-risk after-school programs for art students, plus life skills, all kinds of amazing programs, and that help their kids then go into college or whatever they'd like to do. So 4 scholarships there, 3 scholarships to the community college. And that was a crowd fund. It wasn't ideal because I'd rather have a nonprofit where people can have their donations be tax deductible. And so I kept talking to different nonprofits about partnering with me instead of me creating another nonprofit, one more nonprofit in St. Louis. And people turned me down. They thought it was too complicated. They thought it would compete with whatever they're doing. Well, at this little ceremony for the scholarship winners at the community college that we did in one of the art studios, the chair of the art department dropped by to see what was happening. And I learned from him that their college has a foundation. So a few weeks later, I met with the director of the foundation and the chair of the art department, and they loved the idea. They have set up the Ampersand Scholarship Fund. And so now I can fundraise all year round. And so this is very exciting. So, okay, that brings us back to what's play got to do with it anyway? So the ripple effect, I'm calling the Ampersand Effect, because we're starting with that stone, dropping it into the water. That stone is play. When you play, you activate your imagination. Your imagination helps you to see greater possibility in the world. And that puts you in a position to be a leader and connect in your marketing.